And now, the general weather around Alaska.
A flood advisory continues out for the Yukon River here, up over the upper Yukon Valley there around places like Circle and other locations along the river in this yellow shaded area here. And that's through Wednesday evening for possible flooding as breakup continues to work its way along the Yukon River. Out here in this autumn shaded area, that's a wind advisory for those areas for winds gusting to 45 miles per hour. Moving on to satellite imagery, pretty good low pressure area here approaching Kodiak Island, the center just to the south of the island there, pushing a rather active front up in toward the Gulf, spreading clouds. Cirrus now spreading into the Tanana Valley this afternoon with rain, heavy at times. Kodiak Island picking up about 1 1/3 inches in the last 24 hours with this system, and strong winds, heavy rain now pushing up across the northern Gulf of Alaska into the North Gulf Coast. Moisture also spreading into the Panhandle. Winds gusted, peak wind gust, Kodiak State Airport, 51 miles per hour. Middleton Island seeing winds gust to 60 miles an hour this afternoon, ahead of that front as it continues to move slowly northward. Back to the west, northerly wind flow on the back side of that low, covering much of the Bering Sea here, strongest over the eastern Bering, with rain down to the Alaska Peninsula, showers over the eastern Aleutians. And rolling that through again, you can see a band of clouds up here along the Brooks Range, but the bigger system down here pushing a lot of moisture up into the southern interior. And on the chart for tonight, continued gusty northwest winds, possibly as high as 50 miles an hour for the eastern Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, areas of snow, light snow for St. Lawrence Island, higher pressure with lighter winds and dry conditions out over the western Bering and Aleutians. And wet conditions continue tonight as this front slowly moving northward, keeps gale force winds along the North Gulf Coast there. Also now along the Panhandle, with possible rain, heavy at times developing here along the coast. Otherwise, it'll stay dry from northern Cook Inlet up the Susitna Valley, Matanuska Valley, and dry in the interior here with winds on the increase with the gradient tightening up over the White Mountains there and the higher elevations along the Dalton Highway where the wind advisories are at. And then for tomorrow, we've got again, this front kind of stalling out, the low really not moving much, actually dropping a little farther to the south. So that's kind of hanging the front up along the North Gulf Coast as it slowly edges across the Panhandle. Look for steady rain throughout the night tonight through tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, rain continues, wet conditions to the North Gulf Coast up into the southern southeastern Copper River Basin, of course Prince William Sound, and areas of rain and showers across south central Alaska. Farther west, drying out with some clearing there, Nunivak Island along the Yukon River here, and pretty nice conditions up in the central interior. Still pretty breezy here for the inland areas there, but lighter winds out toward the Arctic coast, and still looking at some gusty northwest winds here for the eastern Aleutians, Alaska Peninsula, with some pretty good shower activity and, of course, cloudy skies. High pressure here in advance of that next system out to the west there, drying it out over the western Aleutians, or keeping it dry actually over the central Aleutian areas. And then for Tuesday, that front makes a pretty good jog to the east here, but really weakens as it runs into that high pressure ridge. The ridge kind of moves eastward here and it also weakens. So look for some light rain to push across Adak and Atka, trying to get in toward Nikolsky, probably holding off from there until the evening hours. That front continues to weaken. A lot less shower activity now for the Alaska Peninsula. Partly sunny skies for Unalaska, the Pribilofs, all the way up to St. Lawrence Island with light winds. And this snow shower activity should stay over the Chukchi Sea there, but close enough it may bring some flurries or light snow showers to Point Hope and Cape Lismore, and that's about it. Otherwise, showers here over the southeast interior from possibly the Kuskokwim Valley, more likely the Alaska Range eastward there into the North Gulf Coast. A little more widespread for the eastern Kenai Peninsula into Prince William Sound. But a lot of shower activity, possibly isolated afternoon thunderstorm there along the Alaska Range and into the portions of the Tanana Valley. Cloudy, mostly cloudy, showery conditions for the eastern North Gulf Coast as well as the Panhandle, but winds on the light side there, higher pressure at the surface. Not all that strong, not strong enough to shut the shower activity off completely. And on Wednesday, look for the rain to increase again along the central and south coast here due to this system approaching the area there. Actually, the same low here now tracking eastward here. And that should nudge some moisture in for some light rain late in the afternoon or more likely Wednesday evening for the southern coast there. Scattered isolated showers, drying out somewhat there for the North Gulf Coast, but pretty good area of showers here along the Alaska Range in the northern Copper River Basin. Spilling into the mid and upper Tanana Valley there, extending down into the Kuskokwim Valley, but drier as you head north and increasing clearing also from the Brooks Range, Kobuk Valley, Seward Peninsula, fair amount of sunshine there all the way up to the Arctic coast, and continued dry for the eastern Bering Sea here. This weakening front brings just a slight chance of some rain to the Pribilof Islands, maybe fog, drizzle, definitely cloudy skies that'll extend down to the eastern Aleutians. And a stronger system now coming onto the chart Wednesday afternoon here, bringing wind and rain later in the afternoon from Amchitka out to Shemya and Attu. And for the lows tonight, 5 to 15 from the Brooks Range on out to the Arctic coast, central interior, 30s to near 40, lower 40s, southern Alaska, 30s out over the Bering Sea, mid-20s, or I should say 30s for the Aleutians, mid-20s for the Bering Sea, all the way up to St. Lawrence Island. Lows in the 40s for the Panhandle. Highs tomorrow, 40s and 50s, mostly in the 50s over the southern half of the state, and right around 50 either side of 50 for the Panhandle. Up on the North Slope Arctic coast, mostly in the teens to near 20, and 40s for the central Aleutians, upper 30s for on Alaska Island. And for the lows Tuesday morning, 10 to 15, Arctic coast out to the Brooks Range here, down to the Brooks Range. South of the Brooks Range, upper 20s there in the northern valleys. By the time you get to the central interior, lows will be generally above freezing everywhere in the lower to mid 30s. 20s for the northern Bering Sea, upper 20s for the Pribilofs, and 30s to near 40 elsewhere. Highs for Tuesday afternoon, lower to mid 50s, Bristol Bay on up into the Kuskokwim Valley, as well as south central Alaska, 50 to 55. Same thing for the Copper River Basin, 45 to 50 though for the Tanana Valley. Mid-50s over toward Eagle, Northway, Chicken, and those areas. Upper 40s to lower 50s for the southeast coast. And then for the outlook here, 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, looking a little chillier than normal for this time of year over the east side of the state into the Panhandle, and right around normal for the west side